Hello.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, that is the most bizarre thing. Every time I try to log into a Teams meeting, it tries to make me join the last one that we had.
Yeah, that's really odd that you keep having that issue.
Yeah, it just tried to log me into the Kanoa meeting we had a few days ago,
Tuesday.
even though I clicked on the link that you sent me.
Weird.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good. And you? Jared, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. So none of the things I said were.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were talking to us or if you were talking to somebody else in the room.
Oh, okay. Yes. I said things, but I'll call you later and tell you them.
Sounds good.
You were talking about me, didn't know your mic was off.
No. I know Eric is joining us. Let's give him just the minute. There we go.
There he is.
If we didn't wait for him, the meeting might have happened in the time.
I know. I was getting off my other call, and I'm like, God, they're going to be done already. Hang on.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 1:00 on Thursday, January 15th. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
And a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes, December 5th meeting minutes. Any discussion on those? Motion to approve?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moving to our action items, the 2025 CJC audit acceptance letter.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 CJC audit acceptance letter.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
I assume this is just a formality. Everything is.
Yeah, you're just re-engaging the same firm.
The same firm, right? Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next action item, the cost sharing agreement proposed amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the cost sharing agreement proposed amendment so that we can get into discussion.
That's not how this works.
We have to
Didn't
motion. We have to
It's an
motion for it and then discuss it. So I'll second it for discussion.
Yeah. Just we have to enter into the motion to get into discussion. Stop. Jared, I'll defer to you how we want to kick this off.
Yeah,
Well, we've kicked it off. Jared seconded. So now we're good, Mike.
Yeah, the Kanoa board met, discussed it, and we have declined to accept the proposal presented.
Because
So,
What are your specific concerns?
There's a lot of areas of concern. I mean, we're only 15 days into the year, and Crow is already wanting to renegotiate a contract that we spent over a year negotiating. We don't feel that it helps us. The idea of the CJC, and in particular that position, is to be that bridge, the communication bridge between residents and businesses, and we don't feel taking that away helps us. Also, in 2025, we gave the entire amount that Crow was asking for, despite knowing that it was going to cripple our ability to be progressive in what we want to accomplish. We wanted a 1-year agreement. You wanted 3, and we agreed to it. We wanted a 90-day out. You guys wanted basically a year because we have to give notice 6 months out. I think we've been very fair in our negotiations, and we haven't even tried to see if the negotiations that we all came to are even going to work, because before it even started in effect, you guys are asking to change the terms. So,
So I'll say this. I asked for a joint meeting between Kanoa and Croa, and you strongly declined having that. At this point, I don't know what else we do other than everyone get together.
What's
Yeah,
the reason to get together?
Well, and so
Our board thinks this is an important piece of the puzzle. Croa apparently doesn't, but we signed a 3-year agreement.
no,
We're not changing our mind. I don't think there's any way we're changing our mind.
Hold on a second. So there are two elements to unpack here. Number one, we did negotiate a contract. We negotiated the cost sharing agreement, but we're talking about the marketing position, right? We're talking about the conversations that we've had that Kanoa doesn't feel like you're getting what you need. And so do we continue to keep going down this path of insanity, hire another person and keep going through this over and over and over again? Let's peel it back a few layers, right? Kanoa needs marketing, right? You need marketing. You are a business focused organization. We are a homeowners association. There are different educational needs, different skill sets. We need more of a communication focused person. You need more of a marketing focused person. Can you find a unicorn that does both? Maybe, but we're going to continue to go down this path over and over and over again. And we have talked about KPIs and we have talked about metrics and what you all need. That has not been shared. I have not seen that. So we're going to continue to go through this exercise over and over and over again. Whereas if we just split this out, and by the way, this doesn't disrupt the channels, the Friday Flash, the Monday Matters, the magazine, that all stays intact. That all continues to go through CJC. This just allows us to get what we want in a more clear and defined way.
you guys can refer to it as marketing, social media. You can term it any way you want. But the agreement that we came to back in August, after over a year of discussions and negotiations, was 25% of the communications manager's time dedicated to Kanoa and communications. So,
Okay, but a communications person isn't going to do anything with social media. Maybe you don't understand the
We
difference
have a
between a
social media
communications
person. We're
role
not
and a
expecting
marketing
that
role.
person to do that.
They're
we're
different.
not asking for that person to do our social media.
We have a social media person. We already have one. We have a contract with somebody.
And what about the website?
We have
Website is marketing.
Okay, we can discuss the website if that's what you want to talk about. We are supposed to have been delivered a fully functional website by January 1st. I know that's been delayed. Once that's delivered to us, we're talking about very little time needed on it. We also had previously okayed
an hour
the
a month.
spending of $100 a month for website maintenance with the agency designing it. That would do 95% of everything that needs to be done for the website. It wouldn't even require town hall's time. So,
Okay, so I'm going to again defer that we need to have a meeting. Kanoa needs to have a meeting with Croa because there are not enough Croa people here to make a decision on anything with this. So because this agreement is between Kanoa and Croa, there needs to be a meeting between those two groups, as I mentioned 2 months ago.
but Jared, we don't understand what the point is. We've already met as a Kanoa board and decided that we're not willing to renegotiate a contract only 15 days into the contract. We're
So
not willing to do that.
you're not willing to have any discussions on it. Is that what you're saying?
We're doing that now,
So-
but we told you what our point is.
What do you want for the 25%? Like I'm still confused. Like what? So social media is not in that 25%. What do you want that 25% to be focused on?
That should be the discussion, I guess, that we should be having with Lauren and her staff. Like,
So
what does that 25% look like?
How long have we been having this? Like we've been asking for this over and over. So if you don't even know what that 25% is, okay, let's assume we want to just keep going on our merry way with this thing, right?
We have given
25% looks like, but you don't know what that is. So now we're going to put this new person.
We have given what that 25% looks like, but then we were told that, okay, since your social media person's now doing that, all this stuff that was in the KPIs are now taken out. And then we have some disagreements where we think this is what a communications manager should be doing, and Lauren thinks that's what our marketing person should be doing. So there is some frustration over what we should be getting for that 25%, and we're willing to look at that with her and come up with, okay, this is what we feel we can do for you with that 25%. But renegotiating the contract 15 days in is not something we're willing to do.
And
Okay,
I
I'm
will,
gonna jump
But-
in there. I was abundantly clear during the cost sharing agreement conversations last year of what town hall comms would and would not do as it relates to visit celebration, and that was social media and maintenance and updating the website. We would make sure the website was standing up and sturdy and still functioning, but maintaining the website and doing the marketing for visit celebration is not an owners association function.
I don't think anybody said that. I think that we're talking about our expectations of this. Again, we're talking about this is the discussion that you wanted, Jared. I think what we're talking about, our board, that we expect from town hall is exactly what we're delivering. In inclusion in the magazine, inclusion in, Friday Flash, literally writing articles, doing that stuff. I think there's the issue that I think we'll get to is town hall, and I'll blame Lauren a little bit of it, not in a bad way, by the way, Lauren. I don't mean to say it, but I believe Lauren believes that this website is going to be onerous, and we're talking about updating. If a business goes out of business, they delete it. If a business goes in would deliver, if they add a blog, if they write a blog post or the article that goes in the magazine is in there, I believe. Remember, we're talking about 25% of the time of a person, 40 hours a week. Let's say that's 10 hours. I don't believe we're talking even 10 hours of work. We're talking about here. If your person should be able to, and by the way, by design, the CJC was set up so this person does work for the businesses. So I'm concerned that CROA thinks that they can't do things for the business. Now, again, we've changed our scope a little bit, and we'll call it visit celebration, but that's just a different name. It's literally what we're doing. We're not asking this person to advertise for us, to do billboards. We're going to have to hire that outside. We know that as a Kanoa board, we're probably going to have to hire some expertise outside that for even by the way, our social media person is not doing advertising, but we might have to hire somebody to do that if we want billboards or radio or other things that we're talking about that are outside the scope of what we think town hall could hire. Quite honestly, we don't believe what they're doing is what we're asking is very much at all.
But this agreement is those things. This agreement is inclusion in Friday Flash and the magazine. It's all that. Plus, you get $20,000.
Agreed.
I continue to have no idea what you all want. Like, candidly, because we continue to, like, I hear social media, but you have someone doing social media, but you want them to do things, but then we don't want them to do things.
I think you're incorrect. We said social media is somebody else, so I think you're incorrect. We have a contract with somebody doing social media right now. It comes out of our Kanoa budget, not
Okay,
your budget, not CJC. We have a person that's on contract once a month. We pay a retainer.
Okay, so what do you want this 20? I'm continuing to struggle what you want this 25% to do. So in a 40-hour week, what do you want the person to do for 10 hours if it's not social media?
You've said you sent that to Lauren. Where is that document? Where is the information that was sent of here's what we expect for our 25%? Does anyone have that?
That was
Does
the
that
ori-
exist?
so
Those were the initial KPI discussions, and Lauren should have a copy of it. But again, shortly after giving her those KPIs, the social media person was pulled out. So then it became okay, so what portion of this goes to the social media person that we hired and what retains with town hall? Then they said there was some discrepancy over what was expected of a communications person from town hall and what we were expecting. So those are discussions that we need to have because we have given KPIs, but your structure has changed since then. So
wait. Mike, you're saying we're not doing what you want us to do. Lee just said a few minutes ago that what we're doing now is what Kanoa expects us to be doing, which is the 2 articles in the magazine, inclusion in Monday Matters, Friday Flash, and potentially, I'm not going to fully agree to this, updating the website, this visit celebration website, if it's not becoming an overly onerous task. Is that an accurate
even if it is
paraphrase?
onerous, it's up to 10. If it was 9.5 hours, that's what somebody's job is. I mean,
if it doesn't exceed the 10 hours, then yes. Is that an accurate paraphrasing, Lee, of what you just said?
yeah, but it's not but on our KPIs, there was also press releases written and some other stuff. So at the end of the day, we don't want them to just like you have your person they shouldn't be sitting around when they hit, if they had more hours, you don't expect them to do nothing. At the end of the day, this is a partnership, and what you're trying to do, Kanoa, in our opinion, is trying to sever the partnership in the marketing end of it. I don't want to have to ask for getting inclusion in our magazines or different things. It is there is a reason why Disney set it up this way. And maybe we don't feel like we're getting, 100% of the time of what we're paying for the covenants or other stuff or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I think that this is having somebody who works for CJC, part of Kanoa, in the marketing department as the marketing manager, and things come across the desk of that person. I think is pretty important.
This
Yeah.
isn't
And
about
$20,000 is nothing. If you want us to replace a person, then we need $80,000. But it's not the point of the money, quite
well,
honestly.
you have
It's the-
$80,000.
You
What's
have
that?
you had 60 and there's
had-
another 20 getting pulled over.
That was no, when we did this contract with 25% of the marketing manager sign. There was no social media. I don't know why we're talking about another 60.
The social no, Louis. There was a communications manager and a marketing specialist in town hall. Part of the reduction in Kanoa's rate was removing the $60,000 salary of the marketing person, and we discussed 25% of the communications manager's time. So $60,000 was pulled out of the CJC contribution into the Kanoa budget. So that's the $60,000. You utilize some of that to hire Eliana. There's another 20,000 pulling in, which Eliana doesn't even come. You still get to about $60,000 to
We're
do
splitting
whatever other
hairs
marketing
here.
you want
At
to
the
do.
end of the
But we're not
day,
going to get.
but we're still
not going
splitting
to
hairs.
get
At
rid
the
of her.
end of the day, we want somebody who works. Again, we signed a 3-year contract. We set it up this way. We want somebody, the marketing manager, to work for us for 25% of the time, as we agreed.
Communications
We-
manager,
we
number
don't have a
one, and number
marketing
two, they are doing that. They are
Okay.
doing the articles. They are including you. You're in Friday Flash.
Okay, I have a question for the 3 Crow board members here, though. You're going through what you think you can and can't give Kanoa with a fine-tooth comb based on the agreement that we put in place, the 3-year deal. I don't see any discussion at all about the probably 15 out of the other 23 people that are in the CJC agreement that we help pay for that do absolutely nothing for us.
Okay,
I don't
hold
see
on.
you talk.
That-
Hold on.
I don't
see
even
you
want, but
talking
I don't even
about-
want to discuss that because that's not what this conversation is about. So that's
Oh, it is
not
this
what's on the.
conversation.
It's
No, it
not.
is
This agenda
conversation.
item specifically is about the communications manager and this.
It is
that-
about this. It is about this. You're picking the only person that actually has a percentage attached with a responsibility to Kanoa.
And that's
Actually,
what we're
Mike,
talking
there is
about
no
this meeting.
percentage in the cost sharing. There is no percentage called out in the cost sharing agreement for any position.
It's in the record of the meeting and it's in the video of the meeting. 25%
There
was
were-
promised to us.
There were percentages for all of the positions in
It
CJC.
was
You're just sticking to
25%.
the one.
It was also said that those are fluid and do change.
Yes.
Correct.
So I think here's my thing. I know I've been quiet. To me, we know there's a difference to me between doing the work and access to the communication vehicle and the channel. So I think one of the pieces that we had talked about were things like being able to be included in Friday Flash, Monday Matters, the magazine, all those things is one piece of it. But doing the work to get the article written, take the picture, do whatever like that, to me, those are 2 separate things. We did commit, and this is a non-monetary commitment, that we're trying to do more. So like, for example, I know like with the Kids Night Out pieces, we're reaching out to the businesses in the community to try to find, do you want to sponsor something? Do you want to advertise? Do you want to do these sort of things? Those are just the conversation type things that happen that we're trying to commit to help for. I think that if we're trying to talk about what the communications manager does for being able to put these pieces together to get them into the different communication vehicles, if we're meeting that today, then so be it. I think that if there's confusion on the Visit Celebration website and what we're going to be able to do it, Mike, you said it perfectly. We expect it not to be more than the 10 hours of time. So then we say, okay, we're gonna do that, and then Lauren, that's where we're gonna need to kind of watch that to make sure that, hey, we don't think that it's going to become bigger. And if it does, well, then we come back and we have another conversation about it to
Right.
figure out if it is. Because honestly, I would like it to be a problem. Like if we see that the website starts to take off and it starts to be then it's like, oh crap, we need to figure out what we're doing, because we've seen this as to be a really good success. It'd be kind of a good problem to have. If we're looking at the 20 grand is what we're talking about to be able to pull this together. I mean, that's not going to make or break CROA's budget, and it's not going to make or break a huge difference on the partnership agreement either. If we need to figure out what we do from a servicing standpoint to make sure that everyone feels that they're getting the value of that, and that Lauren's team doesn't feel overworked in that, that's more of an admin conversation that we need to just watch to be able to move forward. Or am I wildly misunderstanding this? I may be oversimplifying
No,
it.
I think you're understanding it. I think we're going to get to the point. One person is not enough. I mean, you might have to structure what you're doing, but at the end of the day if you add a business, or you add something, or you're adding something in CROA's world, you don't say, do we renegotiate a whole contract with CJC because this person has to do something? At the end of the day, we agreed on there is a reason for the CJC, because we believe that it's valuable to have that person there. And it's not only just the work, by the way. I guess, Eric, you're talking about if it gets over 10 hours, it's not really just the work. It's also having somebody sit there and say, those things I work for, not only just CROA, I work for Kanoa also.
Yeah, think of Kanoa when they're
That's
in
right.
conversations.
Exactly.
Yeah, it totally get you. Yeah,
Exactly.
totally get you.
I mean, the 30th
Mike-
anniversary stuff, you're coming to us with literally saying, we want you to sponsor it, and no involvement in developing it at all. Literally, the streets are Kanoa streets. Not once did somebody, we were not in any meetings, we're not in any discussions on how
That's
it
not
works.
accurate, Lee. Mike was in meetings previously.
Mike was in it for Lexin, and then they stopped inviting him and me for some reason. So I agree. We got invited to 2 meetings and never after that somehow. But
Mike
If
said he didn't want to be involved
somebody
anymore.
from the top up, from Lauren to the marketing person, has to say CJC is important and Kanoa is important in things we do. At least 25% of the marketing person, So to us, this is a valuable person, more than the $20,000 in my opinion.
Let me
with all the
comment.
re-
Let me comment real quick,
Yeah,
Lauren.
all right.
You said Mike said he didn't want to be involved. That's
Yeah.
not an accurate statement.
No.
What I said is I don't see any point in meeting just to meet. We had 2 meetings in a row where literally nothing was discussed, just a bunch of what ifs. And we said, hey, when you have something solid that you actually want to talk about, okay, we want to talk about this, we want to talk about that, we want to talk about this, invite me and Janice to the table because we'd like to be a part of it. But there was a whole bunch of more than 1 year out conversations that were just fishing for ideas. And we said, hey, we've come to 2 meetings in a row now, and there's really not been anything solid discussed. Let us know when you have something that you really want us to give an opinion on. That's what
And
we
that's
said.
what Allison is coming to you now on.
So I think what I'm hearing too, and I'm going to be very candid. I'm hearing different perspectives from the Kanoa board. Like we're hearing from Lee, we're hearing from Mike. But now, how is that going to be communicated to management? There seem to be some expectations that aren't necessarily aligned. So how can we then execute on those and deliver on them if we're getting mixed feedback or not having those aligned? I'm just being candid in just what I'm hearing. It sounds like we're getting
No,
differing
we
opinions.
had a meeting, Charles, with the Kanoa board and
Not what I'm
management,
hearing.
and we started discussing this exact same thing. We didn't finish because this is a discussion with the Kanoa board, but I believe we got side railed because I think Lauren and Jacob and staff think that the website is some onerous thing that they can't handle. And I think we never finished that conversation. We had a meeting specifically talking about roles and responsibilities. I don't know if that was, but literally we did talk about that. And I don't think we ever finished it. But I can only speak for myself. I don't speak for the entire board, but I could tell you, yes, we have different perspectives, but we're not that different, Charles. I believe that in the 10 hours a week town hall, a person has the skill set to do what we want them to do. And if it goes over any amount, then we'll pay for an extra person that needs to do X, Y, and Z and other things that don't have the skill set probably.
But do you understand? Like so we put this person in, and we're going to continue to do this until you all define that. So if we need to come back together once you all figure that out, so be it. But that's an important element that you all get buttoned up, or otherwise we're going to continue to go through this over and over and over again. I mean, I think we're hearing this, like, it sounds like
no, we're going to go through this again because you have one person doing marketing and one person doing marketing for 3 associations are not adequate. You're going to go through it again. I believe that's the case, unless you change your structure somehow. One person cannot do this. I've warned you before. I think that's going to be the case. So yes, we're going to go through it, but it won't be because of our 10 hours, by the way. That person who left did not say that they worked more than 10 hours for us. I could promise you that.
Okay. So I think good point. So if we get to the meat of this, and Lauren, don't hang me out to dry here just yet. What we want to say is it really gets back to the brass tacks of CROA we're concerned, and we just want to make sure that the communications position doesn't provide 25% of their time to Kanoa. That was the concession in the agreement that was made. And then if we all agree to that, the services that is still provided from that person are limited to the 10 hours, whatever that might be. And so if that's 10 hours of website, if it's 10 hours of photo taking, whatever it is, it's the 10 hours of time. I agree with you, Lee, that I think that we're going to, both parties, I think Kanoa and especially CROA, we're going to realize that we don't have enough staff, right? We don't have enough power to be able to do it. But for the purposes of the agreement, if we just want to limit it to say, look, we're trying to reduce this by 25% on the CROA side. This is the financial concession that we're making from it, and the kind of the stopgap for Lauren's team to make sure that we're tracking this appropriately is limited to the 10 hours. And then so the other pieces of, and Lauren, I think the concerns that you raised from a management perspective are all valid. Like, this is the things that we're worried that might come to us. But if Kanoa is telling us we really don't, yes, some of those things might be included in there, but we don't think it's going to go over 10 hours. Then maybe we take everyone at face value for that. And we say, okay, we think it's going to be 10 hours.
The problem is, sorry. The problem is that sometimes I've heard from Mike and Lee that, like, oh, well, that's not 10 hours worth of work. That's not 4 hours worth of work. And then we get into this where that's always a problem.
Listen, we've spoken to every marketing person that's ever worked for Celebration from day one until weeks ago. We've spoken to every marketing not only marketing manager, marketing person. Not one of them has said they've ever spent more than 10 hours working on Kanoa stuff. And I can tell you, when they spend 50 hours, it's not because of our stuff. It's because of adding every one of your meetings on the website, adding all the stuff on the website. And it's that stuff that's going on, not Kanoa stuff. I challenge you to pick up a phone and call any old person that's worked in town hall, and you tell me if you think they could do the job as one person. I don't think so. I've done it.
I'll put some input there saying, speaking candidly, as the manager of both of the communication managers that were here, they did say a big stress of the role was getting a mixed direction from the Kanoa board. So I see a path forward here, but I think in this path forward to help protect that role, as it is a very full role, is that any request coming for the Visit Celebration website come to Lauren or I, so we can direct those down to the communication manager, that they can do that work within their allotment of time, but we can then pull them out of the constant changes of direction that we are sometimes seeing when it comes to what we're receiving from the Kanoa board.
Well, I'm not saying you're wrong about that, Jacob. Remember, we agreed that we were going to create a website, and you guys were going to help create a website and everything else. I mean, without a doubt, we could do a better job of what we're doing, for sure. But also, remember, we asked for nothing a year ago, and now we're asking for something, which is a change for any manager, for sure. So there was a change. At the end of the day, we didn't ask for anything from, and we were paying $570,000. So now we're a
What-
little different. We're a little bit more active. We agree we could do better, and and the process probably has to be better too, without a doubt.
So how do we get that process better as the next step? Like how can
I
we?
think I would recommend a communications liaison from the Kanoa board, so we're not receiving mixed input from the board as a total.
Okay. Lauren, did you sign the maintenance agreement with the website company? The $100 a month?
I don't sign those things. It would have been a board signature. Was that part of the original approval of them standing up the website?
We had approved it as a board. We just don't know if you signed a contract for that. Because that once the website's delivered to us fully functional, that $100 a month will probably be 95% of what you need without Crowa having to do anything, town hall having to do anything.
I'll go look and see if that's in what you originally signed with Fahrenheit. If not, we'll get your signature on it.
Okay, because that
Is
also
fair-
includes development assistance and everything for pages, deletions, additions. That will save town hall person from having to do very much at all.
Is Fahrenheit able to provide the work that we're looking for the communications person to do for 10 hours a week?
No,
As far
their
as-
their only website.
Their
They
website
only
stuff.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and again, a lot of that other stuff, what I mean is we're talking about skill sets. We're not saying the person shouldn't do it. Remember the person that you're hiring right now is doing your website. Why can't they do our website? Quite honestly, and what's the skill set different adding something on there? They're doing the same thing. So I don't want to argue because we're really talking about the same thing, but we're trying to make it look like we're asking for something onerous when we're really not.
No, I
I
agree,
think the
Lee.
benefit of the same person helping is for us is I think that's helpful.
And
Yeah.
another reason why we think it's important to stay as it is too is because we are a board, just like you are a board. If we bring on somebody as an independent contractor, whatever, to do communications and marketing, who's going to train them? Us as a
Sure.
board is going to be expected to train them. We're supposed to explain to them what the different entities are, and this is Crowa's property, this is Kanoa's property, this is
Who did that
CJC's
with
property.
Eliana?
She's a social media person, a little
She's
bit.
social media.
a
All
little
she had to
bit
do was worry
different.
She
about
still
the
needs to
business.
know how the operations work.
Oh, without a doubt, but we're
She
spending
doesn't have
our
the
time on it
communication-
as volunteer board members.
Yep, she doesn't have the channels to communicate with residents as your person would have working in house. You've said before, you guys, and I understand you can't share your resident database, email database, just like we don't share the Kanoa one. How would we have someone who's an outsider be able to do that? Obviously, we need a body there. We need someone that's the pulse between residential side and commercial side. And that's why we feel this is far too valuable for
And
$20,000.
Eliana did work with Jennifer asking those questions sometimes. She didn't come
Yes,
to
she
us all
did.
the time.
I want to
Went
say that
Jennifer for most of it.
this whole offer came about, and the reason we were having this as a change to the amendment to the contract is because this is what I asked for a joint meeting, you guys declined. This is what the Crow board thought would be in the best interest of both parties. So it isn't. Someone said before that you're pushing this on us, and this is the only option that we have. This is what everyone thought would be best. If we give you more money, you can have full control over your product.
Crowa thought was best.
And,
Yeah.
and by the way,
right.
Yeah.
communications is a function of CJC. That doesn't necessarily mean a communications person, right? Communications channels, communications, what have you. But we're looking out, and again, this came about because we know that this is a sensitive topic. We're trying to find the best way that we can do this so that we're not coming back, looking at the cost sharing agreement, and you all are upset with us. So, again, like we're not talking about disrupting the magazine. We're not talking about disrupting the channels. I think you have to reframe that a little bit.
No, I think you're doing this quite honestly as somebody who's on both sides of the coin, who have seen it also, is you're doing this because a manager quit and you've had 4 turnovers in the last X amount of months. It's because of the workload. It's because of the process.
Well,
it's not
and it may be
because of
because
us.
there's not a clear defined scope of work on the Kanoa side.
It's not because of us. I could
It's not
promise you
because-
that.
Well,
These
there's-
guys
but
did not
we're-
leave
we're,
because
we're
of
hearing
us.
that there's no clear defined. We don't know how
Yeah.
how is the person supposed to deliver on that if that hasn't been
They're,
defined?
they're,
Again-
they're delivering 10 hours or 5 hours of work. I don't think
But what are they
this
doing?
is not
You
the
don't
reason
know
why they
what
left.
they're doing for the 10 hours. How are
I
we
Again,
still
supposed
think
Carl,
we need to see that.
we had a meeting, we talked about KPIs, and I told you some of these were clearly defined. We wanted X number of press releases done a month. We wanted a media database established. We wanted this. We did give clearly defined roles.
Yes.
And
Yes, but
then,
you did say that
and
those
then the social
changed
manager,
when
hold
the
on, then the
when this
social media
agreement came
manager
by.
position was pulled out. Then the social media manager position was pulled out. So then the rest of those KPIs became, well, what is a management function and what's a communications person's function? So that's what we need to clear up. What I would like to see happen is for us to move forward with the cost sharing agreement as it is, not revised, as it is. Try to work with Lauren, figure out, okay, here's what our expectations are. Do you think that is reasonable for 10 hours or less, which we believe it will be less, a week? And if it doesn't work, we revisit this in June, because that's before the 6-month out clause that either party can get out if they want, and go from there. But I think the
I
next
think
step
that's what
should
Lauren's
be,
been asking for since we signed this cost sharing agreement. That's all we need. If we yes, we can keep the cost sharing agreement as it is and we don't need to do anything. If someone can tell CJC what the expectations are for the 25% of the job, and that hasn't been done, as you just admitted
Agreed.
now.
Correct. Agree. So do we
Yeah.
want to table this then for I guess until, so what would be the next steps to get that conversation going? Because we're already in the process of hiring this person. So just real quick, like, we haven't made offers, we haven't done anything, right? But
Lauren,
that's,
do you still have the previous KPIs that we went over with you?
Mike, those KPIs were thrown out when the conversation about the cost sharing agreement changed to removing positions and the marketing position and modifying the communications position. So those KPIs are moot at this point. I think
That
you
didn't,
need to
that
start.
didn't answer the question if you still had it or not.
I have them, yes, but they're moot
The-
at this point, Lee. We've been asking you guys. Jacob asked you guys at the last meeting multiple times, "What do you want?" And there was
and
nothing.
we got hung up on the website that you said your person can't do the website
So-
when miraculously they're doing your website, but they can't
Hold
click
on,
two
hold on,
buttons
hold on,
our
hold on.
website.
Stop, please stop. Can Kanoa please provide
Okay.
CJC a list of what you want for the 25%?
Yeah, but
There-
we will do that. We'll tell you what we expect for our person. But just like Croa, things change. It's going to change. Business changes. You're telling me that you're going to, whatever you've written down for Lauren to do for this person for the 75%. What's your 75%? I mean, you're telling me that
We can provide
that's
that
not
to
going to change.
CJC as
What I'm
well.
saying is it's a little bit absurd that we'll tell you what we're doing, what we expect now, but that doesn't mean it's your job. Remember, we signed an agreement. Management should have said, I need to figure out how to get 25%. This isn't our problem or our fault. I'm sorry. This is management's problem and fault. This is where we are. If you cannot figure out that this is a management thing, we don't ask for a ton of stuff. I can
management works
guarantee
at the
we
pleasure
didn't
of the
give 10
board,
hours worth
Lee.
of work
You
and
don't,
stuff.
if you don't know what you want, how is management supposed to execute on that?
I
Wait a
can
minute,
tell
wait,
you what
that
we
is
want. We just don't have it in
completely
writing.
backwards.
We've discussed it.
Let
But if we
me
want to
let me
put it in
ask.
writing, it doesn't mean it's going to change. But today we want those things that you guys are delivering today. We're not knocking Lauren and saying we're missing stuff here. I mean at the end of the day, we've had discussions on certain things, but not specifically. Is at the end of the day is we want to get our website done. That's our big focus, because that is a lot of work. And that's a lot of work because Jacob and Lauren are taking on that work now, which makes no sense. But those things, but it's once this is done, we're talking about getting back to doing stuff that involving the non-residential owner association in different things, in projects, and doing those things that you're talking about. We're not asking them to be a advertising person. We're asking them to write articles for us, to write press releases for us, to do that kind of stuff, and we don't expect it to go over 25 hours. This is, I mean, we'll do it, but don't expect in 3 years for it that not to be evolving.
No, and
Yeah,
that's
let-
fine. It obviously can change. By next Friday, can we have it can change, and that's the point of CJC. So there's a place to say, hey, look, we know this is what's written and we're not using any of this. We need to change it for this. But by next Friday, can we get a 25% of
Let me say two things real quick, Jared. First of all, when you're asking us to give an exact list of what that 25% looks like, please remember, as in Jacob's own words, which he said a few minutes ago, things are fluid, things change. So can we say that this is exactly the way it's always going to be? No, but we will provide an outline. the reason I asked Lauren for the previous KPIs and if she still had them is not because we're trying to hold her
Right.
to those. It's because we want her to take a look at those and tell us, okay, I think this is reasonable for us to handle. This is not. This
Skill
is
set,
reasonable for us
too.
to handle. This is not. At least you tell us, like, realistically, what do you think is too much for what we're asking? Look, just use the KPIs that we previously gave you as a guideline. Just look at them and say, I don't think we can do this.
Don't think that's right. I don't think it's right for us to tell you. You don't want us to tell you what you can and cannot do. You need to tell us what you want.
We can tell you what we want, but if we're going to have those
That's
discussions,
all we're asking for here. Please, by next Friday, tell CJC what you want.
We
We can do our
had
best.
again, we had a discussion as a board. Remember, the two of us can't tell you that. We had the discussion with the board and we didn't finish that as a board. Will we finish it by next Friday? I don't think so. I'll be gone starting tomorrow.
I picked an arbitrary date. When
Yeah.
can you finish it by? I want to put a date on it so that we're not eternally in this place where nobody's happy.
I think that's very fair, and I think that's something that our board wants to do also. And we need to get back with management and talk a little bit more about exactly what we're doing. And when our next CJC meeting, we should probably do that for sure.
And I think too, it's the pieces that we're looking for are a little generic, right? Like it's not like we need you to write an article about X or
No.
we need you to do it. It's that higher arching view, and we know that as things come up, things are going to come up, right? To be able to do that. That to me, that would be helpful at putting some guardrails into this. And I do think too, it's also just the reminder of everyone, which, you know, we're going to have turnover on the CROA side in whenever we reset the groups with Parks and Rec and special events and all of them, that it's a good reminder where we say, look, you know, hey, there's the CJC arm, which it's important to include Kanoa in these discussions when we're looking at things like event planning or, you know, different things. That can be a component of that, just as a reminder. As the partnership, I think that's of benefit.
Can we please circle back? Can we get a date from Lee and Mike? Because candidly, we do see this sometimes in the Kanoa meetings where we do table things and then we don't end up getting a date, even if it's a conservative date, that so you can get with the Kanoa board.
No, I think we should make it a one issue meeting probably. That way you and Lauren are not. I mean, granted. I mean, Lauren and I disagreed about a couple of things, but she did want to get this stuff in the last meeting, and we didn't complete that in the last meeting.
Respectfully, Lee, before we have management and Kanoa board in another meeting, I would suggest Kanoa board meet by yourselves and have a conversation first. So then you're coming to us with a set established thing, because these meetings we keep having, you guys are trying to work it out in real time. So then, I mean, half the time Jacob and I are just sitting there waiting for you guys to kind of work it out in real time. It would be beneficial if you did that behind the scenes first.
That makes sense. And I think that in that time frame, I would ask you to probably talk to Fahrenheit to see really how hard it is to update the website, because I believe any skill set you're talking about, they'll handle 50% of it. And I think your person, I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but I agree. We'll sit together and we'll have a meeting amongst us to kind of come up. And I guess it's a rough outline of a job description, basically what we would do for 10 hours. I think that's what you're asking for, basically.
Just bullets.
Jared,
Yeah.
Jared,
No,
I have to
I
withdraw
get it.
my motion, so I got to drop it. I'm going to withdraw my motion.
Okay, so we'll withdraw the motion. And
February 27th.
For
I'm
what?
picking a number out of the hat, but
I
I'm
was
trying
going to
to give
pick
Jacob
January
a date
30th.
too.
2 weeks.
Thank you.
Hold on,
I
I'm
was
looking
going to
at my
pick January 30th, 2 weeks. I mean, we can't go on for months with this. But if it's
Lee, when are
February
you out of
27th,
town?
it is.
I'm out of town tomorrow until the 21st, but I'm on a shipment. I'll be going on another ship. I'm fine. I'm fine. The week of the 26th really is maybe we should get together as a board,
Okay.
or late in the week of next week. We could probably get together as a board. We'll
So
send something out.
there's a CJC board meeting on February 17th. So could we reasonably get your response to CJC the week before that?
I say we make that a date, like Eric
the 9th?
said. You know, we
Yeah.
make that the drop dead date, and we work back towards it. Yeah.
So that would be the 9th, February
Yeah.
9th.
Thank you. So one last thing, while we have the CJC board here, I did hear concerns, and it's well known, there's a concern on the workload of this position. It is understandable that we do have concerns that it is a slippery slope with taking on the Visit Celebration website. It could be small, but it could trail to being something much larger. So that, we can look at that, we can trial it, we can move forward with this. There has been mindset when we did some time studies with the last one that, the magazine and Friday Flash take over 50% of the workload of the comms manager. So the job itself is very full with daily administrative work.
Yeah.
We can make it work with this. Things that may have to go off the plate to absorb 25% more workload from Kanoa is some project management work. So some items like this, we were discussing a weather camera, we're discussing rebuilding the town hall website. Those are, project-based work that would fall on this position, those candidly are probably would overload that work plate.
A third party might help you with that.
That's a separate thing because I also think that CROA needs to do this same exercise.
Yeah.
Kanoa can do it for the 25%, but CROA should be doing this for the 75%. Because if we come up with 135% of work, we have a problem that we need to address separately.
Yeah.
Do you, Mike or Lee, want a motion to deny the cost sharing agreement for record?
No, I don't think I'd rather we just didn't take it. I mean, we didn't vote on it. I mean, we didn't.
Okay. So then we'll pass the motion completely and move on from that. February 9th is the date that we'll have from both CROA and Kanoa expectations for the role. And then
are we meeting, or is that in writing, or how did you expect that?
We're meeting on the 17th, and we just talked about having that a week before.
I got it. Okay.
Meeting, so that there's time for everyone to review.
That's fine. So we'll meet as a Kanoa board and then meet with Lauren. We'll have to have 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
And keep in mind too, that like one of the things that we already know is going to be on the list, because it was on the previous KPI list, is something that maybe it's on our list, but it's really for both CROA and Kanoa. One of them, for example, was the creation and updating of a media database, so that when there's something going on that you want communicated outside of celebration, you want media attention for, such as Pups and Pints or one of the events that you're doing that's open to the public, there's a media database that has, okay, this is how I can contact all the TV stations. This is how I can contact all the radio stations. Even though that is something we're asking for, that's something that really is useful for both sides.
Yeah, if you want to build a list of projects and things like that are like that, put those on the list too. Like, put all the information on the document so that it's like, this is what we want, but we think you want too, so this is shared. But we need to get all this in writing so that it's clear. Because the one thing nobody is doing is telling management what they want.
It would be ideal
too. So
we've got to list them out as those separate categories of data as administrative work, which is every kind of week, and projects.
Yeah. And you need that from CROA too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Would it be reasonable that we get those by the 9th from each board, and then we share them with the other boards so they have time to review them before the meeting on the 16th?
Yes.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
The 9th, yes, because then
It's by
there's a CROA meeting on the 11th where they can be discussed. Kanoa can hold a meeting whenever they want, and then we're all meeting on the 17th.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, we at least have a direction. This is very good and positive.
I like it.
That's it for the agenda.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, excellent.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll
Thanks,
set up
everyone.
our meetings. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.